Greetings! Welcome back to Minecraft. Today, I begin Project Upgrade. You see, last episode, I finally updated my world to the latest Minecraft version after spending over 6 months playing on 1.21.0. And now, I want to get my hands on all the new stuff that I've unlocked. Well, new-ish. New to me, okay? And the way I'll do that is by building crazy farms for every single one of these items, starting today with Resin, the little tree sap substance that these camera-shy stickmen nocturnally emit when you excite them from their heart, I guess? What even is this stuff? Is it like their waste? Their blood? Well, you can use it to make more of them, so it's gotta be their... And I'm gonna build the most over-the-top factory to farm hundreds of thousands of this stuff per hour. Automatically process it into bricks with a massively overkill furnace array, and then I can easily craft all the resin blocks in the game with another massively overkill Autocrafter machine. And to show you guys just how overkill this ultimate resin factory will be, the goal I'm setting for myself that I have to reach by the end of this video is to fill one double chest full of shulker boxes with each and every resin item in the game. That's 92,312 items for each resin item. Oh boy. This will either be really easy or really, really easy because I'm the GOAT. All right, let's go. First things first, I need to decide on a location for Project Upgrade. The mega base I plan to build in the future will be centered here, and the space it will take up will be a huge circle with a radius of 476 blocks minimum, so I can't build anything there. Creaking Farms also only work at nighttime, so to avoid any annoying incidents where a creeper could sneak up on me and blow my shit up while I'm building, I think I want to build the factory on a mushroom island. Since no other hostile mobs can spawn there, just our little cow friends, and then the creaking, of course, when we place down their hearts. And I'm thinking this island over here should be a good spot. Let's go scout it out really quick. Yeah, this island's pretty big. We should have plenty of space for the entire factory. With the good location for the project found, I went back to base to grab some obsidian. I'll build up a basic portal so I can quickly go back and forth from this place and home. And now I need to grab materials to build a CLM for the factory. For those of you who missed last episode, the Cube Loader Machine, or CLM, is a little device that I came up with that's meant to be like a mobile base of operations to make building projects easier. And what does it do, you may ask? Well, it's a machine that loads cubes. Basically, if I have a build I'm working on that requires a ton of shulker boxes, I can pack them into the machine, which just makes it really easy to sort through a large amount of items without creating a giant chest monster every time I want to build something big. It's just a really helpful organizational tool, basically, so I can be as efficient as possible and slowly but surely improve my upload schedule. I've changed a couple things about the machine since the last episode to hopefully make it better, so this will be the CLM version 2. I grabbed all the items I would need for it, as well as a bunch of extra beacons and iron blocks before heading back to the island. Okay, and I think a good place to build it will be in the air here, so I can fly in and out really easily, and it'll kind of stay out of my way when I'm building the factory. One of the most important parts about this machine is that it's really easy to build. So this only took a few minutes to set up. I've got an extra non-shulker box storage too for items that I don't really need like a lot of, and there are a lot of little miscellaneous items like that in this build. I'll move the portal up here from the ground and set up some haste 2 beacons across the island so that I can flatten out some terrain to make room for the factory. Now, to make the factory building process as simple as possible, I want to build a foundation first, so I have kind of a nice empty space to build all the redstone machines in. Basically, it's just some holes in the ground and a ton of concrete. So I just need to do a little bit of terraforming to make space. Alright, that's all I need to do for now. I want to transform the rest of the remaining mushroom biome into like normal grass terrain, but I'll do that after I build up a lot of the factory because I don't want to do more than I have to. Now, let's get back home and grab all the materials for the foundation. The whole factory building is going to be pretty big, so we need a ton of stuff. Starting off with 4 boxes of smoothstone, which I already have in storage, then 3 boxes of end rods. Ooh, I might not have a lot of those actually. Yeah, I don't. I'll grab those at the end after I AFK my blaze farm a bit. In the meantime, I need a couple boxes of andesite, and I don't have any of that either. I think I'm running dangerously low on a lot of the standard building items I use. Here, let's do this. Let's take all the items that I just mined while clearing the terrain at the island, throw them in storage to be sorted, and then I'll fly all the way over here to the edge of the border circle where my mega base is gonna be, and I'll build up some beacons. And now, whenever I need any natural items like dirt, stone, andesite, diorite, those types of things, I can come here and I can mine out this area, because I'm actually gonna need to make this area completely flat, at least to sea level, I think, so I can absolutely nuke nuke the entire area to make space for the base. So I spent some time mining up all the andesite and any other natural blocks I would need for the build, threw them into the CLM at the island, and now I can get everything else I already have in storage. Next of which is sea lanterns, which I don't have enough of. Bruh. I have the materials to craft them though over at my Guardian farm, so no biggie. We'll just craft them up really quick. Then I need some stone, a few boxes of cracked deep slate bricks that I just smelted up at my furnace array, then a ton of anvils, some tough, polished deep slate grass blocks, lodestones, which I can finally use in builds now since Mojang changed the crafting recipe to only need iron ingots instead of frickin' netherite ones. What were they even thinking with that original recipe? Like, who's gonna use this? Then I grabbed some red sandstone, more deep slate stuff, dark oak leaves, and a ton of other blocks and items I'll need to make the build look super good, including the new bushes and firefly bushes. All right, I've got everything organized into the CLM, and we should be ready to start building. I'll start with just a simple deep slate wall as the border of the foundation before filling everything out and going into the center where the actual machines will be. Okay, almost done with the foundation, just gotta fill in the center here, and I forgot to grab one earlier, but I need to bring a happy guest here to help me build up some of these high up areas, like near the edge of this hole. So let me find some ghasts really quick so I can craft one. All right, there we go. And now let's craft a dried ghast. Set you up right here, there we go. Let you grow up, and okay, now let's finish the foundation. Alright, that's the foundation complete, and I think everything looks pretty good. The building style I'm trying to go for here is like a modern, futuristic kind of factory. So the outside will be very clean. We have all these little grass areas, nice little walkways, and then on the inside, it'll be very user-friendly. So I'll have a bunch of catwalks and stuff like that to make operating the factory as simple as possible. I'm also going to build some balconies connecting outside to the building later, but this is all we really need to do right now before we can get building the factory machines. And to be able to build the machines, well, now I got to get the materials for the entire rest of the factory, which is like way more than the foundation. But first, just to get it out of the way, let's grab all the items I'm gonna need from the pale forest biome. Some of the stuff I need for the factory itself, some of it I need for decorations, but the most important thing I need, of course, is the Creaking Heart, because there's no farm without it. So let's find a forest to get all this stuff from. I actually haven't explored the pale forest biome besides flying over it a couple times when creating the map from last episode, so these will be my first raw impressions. And I think there's one over there. So let's head over and explore. All right, here we are. Let's do this. Okay. Oh yeah, the sky gets all gray. All right, very spooky. And wow, the trees make so much noise. I like the ambience. I think it'd be cool if Mojang applied this type of thing to more biomes. I think they did it with the desert. But yeah, it adds a lot to like the immersion of the area. Okay, while we wait for night to meet our first creaking, I'll first grab a bunch of these flowers. I want to plant them all around the factory in those little grass areas that I built out on the foundation. So let's just get a ton of these things. Ooh, okay. Sun's starting to set. Let's find us a creeker. There's one. Look. Greetings. Oh. You know, with my armor, I wonder how much damage this guy even does to me. Let's see. Oh, yep. Nothing. Literally nothing. It's probably a lot scarier when you're not already super overpowered. Okay, now how does this work? How do I get like the resin clumps? We hit this guy. Oh yeah, resin spawns around the heart here. Yeah, there we go. And then we just collect it like this. Okay. Now, how do I craft more hearts? Is it like this? Oh no, okay. Wait, maybe I need a resin block, not just a single clump? Okay, then like this. Ah, there we go. Ooh, okay though, I'm gonna need a lot of resin clumps to be able to craft all the hearts I need. 62 stacks approximately, according to my math. That's gonna take some time to get. Wait, actually, I think I have an idea. First, let me finish grabbing all the materials I'm gonna need from this place, and I'll bring some saplings with me too, so I can farm trees back at the build site. Okay, this should be everything. I'll load it into the CLM so it's nice and sorted. And now, to get all the creaking hearts I'm gonna need, I'll grab some stone, and I'll build a little platform up here in the middle, far enough away from any other blocks where any creekers could spawn. And I'll make a little manual farm like this, where I should be able to farm up all the clumps I'm gonna need at night. All right, here we go. Let's test it out. Yeah, these motherfuckers can't even touch me. I'm chilling. This is easy. I manually farmed away for a couple nights to get all the clumps I would need. and then crafted up the hearts. Okay, nice. That's all the pale forest items for the factory, and arguably the most important thing for the whole factory, the creaking heart. Now I just need to get the rest of the items for literally the entire thing, which is an insane amount of stuff. Fun fact, gathering all the items for these builds is probably the most time-consuming process for my videos, well, outside of editing, which is why I cannot wait to finish building insane and automatic factories for every item I possibly can in the game. You know, a wise man once said, the most fun thing about Minecraft is not playing it, or more accurately, just having it play itself, and then building the coolest stuff ever. We'll get there one day. Anyway, the first item I'm gonna need is about a desert worth of white stained glass. Pretty easy to get because I have a lot of sand in storage and a lot of glass in storage. Then we need 4 boxes of powered rails, gray concrete, a bunch of deep slate items, observers, calcite, droppers, quartz blocks, more deep slate, ice, black glass, chests, spruce wood, iron doors, warp fence gates, detector rails, stripped birch wood, frog lights, lava, honeycomb blocks, blackstone blocks, melons, glow lichen, campfires, and pretty much every single other block in the game. Holy shit, I'm gonna have a stroke if I keep listing stuff. Okay, we're done. Now we just load all the items into the CLM and we're good to build the factory. Finally. Really quick though, I want to be able to track my progress towards our goal, so I want to build a little mechanism with some double chests that will activate a lamp when the chest gets full, so I can basically check off each step of our goal as I reach it. So I'll grab a couple more blocks to be able to do that, and I think I'll build the machine right over here. All right, looks good. Now let's get to building the factory. First, I want to start by building the shulker box loader for just the resin farm itself. Since the resin farm is so insanely fast and the furnace array only works with shulker boxes, I need to package up all the resin and then dump it into the array for the factory to work. So unfortunately, I can't just like connect the resin farm directly to a bunch of furnaces. And with this, I'll also have a switch built in that changes where the packaged resin clumps go. So in case I ever need boxes of unsmelted resin clumps, like to craft resin blocks, or if I just want to sprinkle it around the floor somewhere. The loaders I'm using load boxes at 8 times hopper speed, so roughly 72,000 items an hour. But since there's only 4 hoppers that the items enter through, and because the farm creates an insane amount of items every time you hit the creaking, I need to build 11 of the loaders to make sure that they don't overflow and I don't lose any items. Okay, this looks good. Hopefully they work, but I can't really test it until I build the resin farm, so let's knock it out. I'll put in the logs and the creaking hearts last, so I don't have them spawning all over me when I'm trying to build the rest of the farm itself. But the machine is pretty simple. It's just some pistons all wired together inside of a big glass box, and then whenever I hit the creaking after we start the farm, it just pushes the pistons, knocking down the resin clumps. Okay, that's the case of the farm done. Let me craft a wooden sword really quick so I can test it to make sure the mechanism works properly. Just hit this minecart and then that hits the armor stand, which triggers the pressure plate pushing the pistons. And yeah, I think the mechanism works. I waited till morning and quickly loaded in the creaking hearts and logs, and now it was time to test the farm for real. Hopefully I didn't mess up the loaders or anything. Just gotta turn them on with the lever here and wait for the creaking to spawn. Okay, looking good. Everything's oh wait. Oh god, yeah, I should have slabbed up the terrain a bit back here. I'm an idiot. Easy fix though. Just plop down a bunch of slabs. Now we wait for night again, and now I can test the farm. Here we go. Everything is spawning, and I just sit here attacking this minecart until morning. All right, it's morning and all the creaking despawn. Now I just gotta wait for the box loaders to finish loading the shulker boxes. Look how fast they load though. I'm gonna have so much stuff, I already know. Okay, they should be done now. Turn off the machine and let's check our haul. Holy shit. Look at that. That is over 100,000 resin clumps just from a single night of running the farm. Yeah, this thing is just, you know, a little slightly overkill. Just slightly. I took one of the clump boxes back home to run it through my furnace array so that I could get the remaining detailing items I need for the factory, and also place one of each resin item down at the goal tracker so we can mark our progress. And okay, that should be good. Next up, let's get to work building the furnace array. The array itself isn't really too complicated. Basically, the way the design works is you put a shulker box of coal and whatever you want to smelt at the top, and then it pops out of the bottom, repackaged back into a shulker box. Pretty simple. And it runs insanely fast, consisting of 1,728 furnaces, the exact amount you can fit in a single shulker box. So yeah, pretty good. The box unloaders at the top and the box loaders at the bottom are pretty much the most complicated parts. Everything else is just like a bunch of hoppers, rails, and furnaces. So I got it done pretty quick. Okay, the array should be done. Let's give it a test run to see if I made any catastrophic mistakes. I'll grab up a ton of resin clumps, dump them in this chest, and start her up. Oh god, I'm actually nervous. Please Please work. I do not want to rebuild this thing. I sat patiently waiting around for the furnace array to finish, and when it did, I noticed one single issue. Literally, one item was missing from each box, which means somewhere in the array, a single furnace is being blocked. And yeah, that's what it was. A single torch that I guess I dropped in when I was working on it, fell in, blocking the furnace, took it out, and we should be 100% good now. I smelted the remaining items that the array missed, and then put the bricks into the gold tracker. Okay, now that I know that the machines work, I'll quickly connect them together so that the array can run automatically after the resin is packaged into the boxes, and I'll set up a little storage area too for everything after we complete the entire factory. Okay, let's let the farm run one more time now that everything is connected, and we should be good to go. Everything should just flow automatically. Okay, the night is over. Let's see if everything is good, and... oh, yes. Look at all these bricks. Oh, this is awesome. All without me doing jack shit. I was taking a shower this whole time. I wasn't even at my computer. Okay, now the final machine we need to build for the factory is the Autocrafter. So let's start that and hope I don't mess anything up. I've gotten pretty good at building complex redstone these days, so I'm not too worried. I should be able to get it done pretty quick. And well, I didn't get it done very quick. I had to be very precise, and I was being very careful not to make any mistakes, so it took me a few hours. And now I'm not 100% sure if this will be the best way to build these ultimate factories in the future. This factory is kind of a trial run, if I'm being honest, but the crafter requires the player to manually load the boxes into the crafting interface to run it, so it's not completely AFK-able, but I think I'm more interested in making sure the factory is as fast as possible versus it being as AFK-able as possible. And while building it, I started to have some trouble navigating for items in the CLM, so I consolidated all the remaining items down a little bit and disassembled most of it to make things a little bit easier. And now with the crafter complete, to be able to run it, you actually have to use blocker items of some sort, and these would just fill the spaces where you don't want an item depending on what recipe you're trying to craft. So the best item to use for this is rotten flesh, since it's not used in any crafting recipes, but all the blocker items need to be the same, and I don't have that much rotten flesh, so I'll need to get more before I can craft an insane amount of this item at once. But for now, I have enough to at least test the machine. So let's try and craft one shulker box of resin brick. Just gotta load it into the machine like this, just like you would a normal crafting table, and start it here. Okay, please work, please work. Oh, nice. Okay, it's working. I think I managed to build every machine for the factory without making any mistakes. Listen, that blocked furnace from earlier, that doesn't count, okay? I remember a time where building complex stuff like this felt completely impossible, but now it's easy. I guess that's what happens when you play this game for, 50,000 hours or whatever the hell I've logged up to this point. Now, with the factory fully operational, all that's left to do to complete the first part of Project Upgrade is to decorate the facility. Before I started though, I was having problems with navigating my items in the CLM, and it was kind of annoying to deal with, so I moved all the remaining items a little bit closer to the base for easier access. I think I'm gonna have to do another major overhaul of the CLM before I use it again, because I've thought of like 10 different things I can change to make it more efficient to use, because even though it's holding all my items, navigating it quickly is still something I can improve on. Anyways, with the materials all moved, I can start decorating. To start, first I want to replace the remaining mycelium with grass to just make the remaining terrain look nicer. So I grabbed some stone and some grass and built out the island a little bit around the edges. I left some room at each end because in the future, I definitely want to connect all my buildings to a massive highway network that webs across the world, so I need to leave a little space to have room for that. With the terraforming done, next I built a much larger nether portal as the entrance to the facility. Another thing I want to do is I want to have like a standardized series of portals like this everywhere across the world, because at this size I'll be able to fly a happy guest through it, which I can use with leads in like a chest boat or a bunch of donkeys or something to transport like millions of items at once in a single trip. And this portal just looks really cool compared to, the basic small rectangle. Just gotta quickly adjust the portal on the nether side so that they connect properly, and there we go. Now, before I build the actual building around the factory, I want to cover as much of the exposed redstone that I can from the factory machines. Finding a cool style for this is a little bit tricky. I'm not sure exactly what the best idea could be for decorating the machine parts, but for now, I'll just kind of cover everything in a concrete frame and then just fill it in with glass paneling so you can kind of still see the guts of the machine, but it's not just exposed to the outside air. And I'll throw a little pixel art resin brick over the furnace array too. Okay, this looks good. I've been running the crafter for a while I build this too, but with the limited amount of blocker items I have, it's kind kind of slow since I have to constantly restart the crafting operation every time it's complete, and I can't just like sit around and wait for it to run. So I think I'm gonna head over to my gold farm for the night and run it overnight to get as much rotten flesh as I can. Who knew rotten flesh could actually be used for something? Never throw anything away in this game. You can definitely use it for something. I went ahead and set up a little box loader for the flesh, and I was able to get a pretty good amount overnight. Then the next morning, I immediately started off with the rest of the building decorations. My plan is to build the entire outside first and then detail the inside after. And while I build, I'll try to run the factory at night so we can reach our resin item goal. So the first thing I'll start with is the walls encasing the crafter machine. I tried my best to add like a bunch of technical detail, which I think ended up looking pretty good. But I think, and I started to notice this while I built, I definitely made a mistake when planning the factory and ended up cramping things a little bit too close to each other. So I definitely got to keep that in mind for the next factory I build. But after the casing around the crafter was complete, I built up a tower at the entrance and slapped a couple resin ingot pixel arts on the building, in case you know I forgot what this factory was for. With the right side of the factory done, I went on to the middle, and for here I'll build more of a warehouse building to cover the furnace array and the resin clump shulker box loaders. And then I added some piping on the roof using some walls to kind of fill in the empty space. Then on the back side of the warehouse, I left some open doors, and these can be like a shipping access point of some kind. And I'll connect some floating bridges here a little bit later too. And now I just gotta cover the entire resin farm itself. But the thing is, creaking just spawn all over the place whenever nighttime rolls around, making it pretty difficult to do that without just getting harassed constantly. So I just decided to finish up the entrance bridge that connects to the nether portal first, and then also build the bridges and balconies that connect to the warehouse and just also wrap around the entire building. Then I was able to go back and finish up the remaining resin farm covering, painstakingly trying to spawn proof the entire thing the whole time. But eventually I pulled it off and wrapped up the outside with the final couple details, and of course just one more pixel art, this time of the raw resin clump itself over the resin clump farm. And with that, the entire outside of the factory is complete. And yeah, I think I'm happy with the result. The place is fully walkable and looks really good. Again, I think when designing, I made the place just a little bit too cramped, but besides that, I'm happy. So now we just got to do the inside. To start, I connected some bridges from the warehouse entry points to the other catwalks in the factory, and then detailing the inside really just kind of consisted of putting a bunch of light sources everywhere, and then adding like trim and various support beams to make the place feel just more realistic. So after a couple hours of lighting the place up, the ultimate resin factory was finally complete. And now, all that's left to do is to finish the goal I set at the beginning of the video, which was incredibly simple now that the factory was complete, but there was one little complication. Fuel. And because of how much material this facility produces, I was burning through this stuff insanely fast. And my only source of coal right now is the very beginner wither skeleton farm that I built way back near the beginning of the series. And thankfully, I did like a multi-day AFK session a couple months back, so I had a pretty large stockpile of coal built up in storage, which got me through most of the items for the goal, but I still ran out at the very end, so I had to run a few boxes of logs through my furnace array back at base in order to get charcoal to use as a temporary substitute. But I got it done, crafted up all the items, and finally, the goal is complete. One double chest of shulker boxes for each and every resin item. Mission accomplished. Now, just a couple quick things before we wrap up here. I'll head to the map room to grab the maps for this area so I can update them just like this and put them back into the world map. Okay, that looks good. And then I need to do a little bit of landscaping around the factory and plant those flowers that I grabbed in the pale forest. I completely forgot to do this earlier. And I think that's good. Yeah, the factory is now 100% done. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the Patreon if you want my world download, which I update every time I upload a new episode, so you can explore and have access to everything I build going forward. Okay, bye. New video soon, I promise.